Hello, welcome back to my channel Hasty Books. I'm Camilla, and today I'm doing my second video, and I thought I would try to catch up with lost time and do a March wrap up. So I know we're halfway through April, but let's dive right in. So the first book that I read in March was Ways of Going Home, or Formas, volver, casa, from Alejandro Zambra. So this is a contemporary Chilean book, a novel. I picked this up because I'm currently doing the 1 year translation challenge. So every month there is a region or country highlighted, and March was Latin America. And as you know from the first video, I'm half Chilean and I wanted to discover more contemporary Chilean writers, so I picked this out. This kind of follows the same character in two different timelines. So when he's a boy, which is in the midst of the dictatorship, and I thought the Ways of Going Home was going to be a bit metaphorical, but it's also just literally ways of going home. So it starts with him being lost and trying to find his way home, and then he makes friends with a new girl in the neighborhood, and then it follows also the timeline of him as an adult, and he's a writer and he's trying to kind of go back to these times and write about it. And he meets up again with a girl who's now kind of come back to Chile after the dictatorship, and also, you know, in a completely different country, in a society that's evolved massively during and since the dictatorship. So I highly recommend it if you're looking into, you know, more world literature and especially Latin American reads. The next book I read in the same vein was Citizen Illegal by José Olivarez. So this one is an actual translation. Olivarez is actually a Chicano, so Mexican American, although that's the label I'm putting, but there's loads of poems throughout his collection that talk about the identity and the split and kind of what does it mean and the erasure of one identity with the other. And it's really fascinating. I really adored it. I kind of ate it up really quickly. As an aside, I think when I read poetry, sometimes I'm just unsure about how quickly I should read it, because I did English literature. I feel like sometimes I want to stop on a poem and, I don't know, think about what it meant and like how I felt, but sometimes I just, you know, this collection was actually really interesting, that I felt like I just wanted to keep reading through his perspective, through the different moments that he was talking about. So I highly recommend it. The third book that I picked in the theme of Latin America was The Mermaid of Black Conch by Monique Roffey. So this is actually Caribbean literature and it's not in translation either. And I won't talk that much about it because I actually haven't finished it yet. I only read the first half in March and I'm almost finished now. So it's gonna be in the next wrap up. Third book I finished in March was Anne of Green Gables by Lucy Maud Montgomery. Anne of Green Gables is a classic of Canadian literature and of children literature as well. It follows Anne Shirley, who is an orphan, and she gets adopted by Matthew and Marilla Cuthbert, who live at Green Gables on PEI in the maritime eastern provinces of Canada. And it's excellent. It's an amazing quick read. It was turned into a Netflix adaptation. I think there was also a series done many years ago, but there's currently, if you're in the UK, a Netflix adaptation called Anne with an E, and it's excellent. I really recommend it. I realized that I actually started reading Anne of Green Gables when I was little, so I read it in French. I think I must have been 7 or 8, and I abandoned it halfway through when there's like a scene where I thought it was unbelievably unfair, and she, you know, they say that she's stolen something and then she says she hasn't and they sent her away, and oh, I was so upset by it that I actually stopped reading right then and there. So it was actually nice to read it till the end and to read it in English as well, the original. And it was just, it's so beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful literature and it's a really fun story. The next book I read in March was An American Sunrise by Joy Harjo. Harjo is actually the poet laureate of the United States, and I discovered her during the Edinburgh Book Festival. So in 2020 it was all online, so I kind of watched so many of their sessions, and Joy Harjo actually read some of her poetry and it was really intriguing, and when I saw my library acquired it, I just jumped on it and read through it. It was extremely well crafted, beautiful, touching, just I think it's everything that you want out of a poetry collection. And it was extremely, I think I learned quite a lot as well. Like I didn't know, say I'm not American, but I didn't know about the Trail of Tears, and kind of I love the history she goes through. There are vignettes which talks about history kind of between poems, so you're kind of learning as well as reading about her heritage and her family and her connections to the land and to her people, and yeah, her personal experiences. So it's really, really beautiful. I especially recommend it for, I guess, North American, especially US residents or citizens who may want to kind of get that perspective. My next read was Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. So I've decided in 2021 I wanted to go over all the Austen. I think it was over Christmas, I watched the Emma movie adaptation from last year, I think. And then I think I realized that I'd never actually, well, I think I know a lot about Jane Austen. I don't think I've seen any of the movies. Clueless doesn't count, right? So I'd never seen any of the movies or read any of the books except from Pride and Prejudice. So I thought, this is the year I'm going to go through each and every one of them. I'm on my 4th run right now, but in March I went through Sense and Sensibility. It was really good. I find Austen to have quite a formula in terms of, you know, relationship and thwarting and all of that. What I liked the most about Sense and Sensibility was, I think the sisterly bond was really at the strongest of the 4 I've read. I feel like this one was the strongest one, and I really enjoyed it. I don't know if it's my favorite. I don't think so. I think Pride and Prejudice will always be my favorite. But when I'm done reading all of her novels, I'm definitely gonna make a video and kind of rank them and talk more about each, you know, differences and similarities and stuff like that. Last but not least was Pine by Francine Toon. This is actually difficult to explain what it is. It's kind of a bit of a spooky horror ghost story set in Scotland. I didn't really know anything about it when I picked it up, and I think that's probably best to not know anything about it, because then it just surprises you completely. I've been trying to get some of my friends from my masters to read more, so we kind of agreed, the 3 of us would read this book because it was set in Scotland. That's where we met, and it was both kind of a slow burn but also a page turner, which feels a bit like an oxymoron, but I just thought it was really intriguing, and it's a little bit spooky. So the first night that I read it, I think I read it in the dark on my tablet when my husband was sleeping, and I was like, ooh. So it is, that's the kind of story you're looking for and the kind of experience you're looking for out of a book, I think this would be really good. And you really feel like this winter atmosphere of Scotland, Highlands in it as well. So if that's also the kind of traveling landscape that you're looking for, you'll enjoy it. All right, these are my 6 reads for March. My goal at the moment is to read 1 book a week, so I was quite happy with 6. Also, there's a few poetry collections in there, but still, I'm quite happy with my reading. And yeah, I've decided I'm gonna try to post once a week. So next week we'll be looking at my top favorite books. I think there's kind of good introductions for my channel and to the kind of reading habits and reading interests that I have. So, you know, comment below if you read any of the books I mentioned today. Please share any of the recommendations of what you read in March, and then, you know, subscribe, like, and hasty back. Bye.